Jeff Linder was saying today that he thinks the teams are actually very similar in the way you guys, a lot of the personnel and the way you guys play and stuff. What do you make of their team and what they've, the start they've gotten off to?
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised. I mean, you would think it would make sense that we'd have similarities. Linder and I were together for a long time, and I've been knowing Jeff Linder since the old JUCO days of Linder. So I'm not surprised that he would say that, because there are some similarities, no doubt. There always will be. They're a great team. I mean, they have an identity. They know what they're doing. They know their plan, and they execute their plan. When you look at what drives winning, that's an important piece that drives winning is what are we good at? What are we doing? Can we keep doing the things we're good at? And does everybody know as a group what makes us tick? And when you watch Wyoming, I mean, they're one of the teams that's the clearest on in the country. They know what they're good at, and they play to those strengths extremely well.
He also brought up an interesting thing about if a game gets canceled. It's happened a couple of times this year where the team that is the reason the game got canceled on the road ends up hosting the game at home first, like you guys are doing tomorrow. It happened with CSU in New Mexico, where CSU couldn't play at New Mexico, but then got to host them first. What's just your thought? Obviously, you're happy the game's at home tomorrow, but what would your thoughts be on if the team like you guys would have had to play the game there tomorrow, and then worry about the rescheduled game, later back in Boise, that just to guarantee that game first?
I don't have enough time to think all that stuff through. And
I guess just in general with how the rescheduled and COVID and stuff, I guess there's just no perfect formula to do all this. And
that's the answer. And I think it's all new stuff for us. And if you spend too much energy, like last year, I think we all tried to figure out what would be fair, what would be equitable, and all that stuff. And you just want some sort of competitive equity. And is it going to be perfect? No, it can't be. So this year I've been way more at peace with, because you look at last year, out of the top 8 games that we had to play, 6 of them were on the road. So you can try to figure all that stuff out and overanalyze that, but it's to what end? It's not going to change it. And so this year, I think, but it was new. So you were like trying to figure it all out, and everybody was. But I think now we've settled into being, like I've said about it 100 times, that just so what now? What? Let's just, okay, what's in front of us? What can we do? And how can we prepare? And how can we work to keep getting better?
And final thing for me, do you fully expect though to have to go that you will make the game up in Laramie?
Yeah.
Rachel?
Just trying to get off mute there. I want to go back to the very beginning of this 12-game winning streak. I don't want to attribute this to losing somebody, but, what do you attribute it to this exciting streak and doing so well now?
Well, you've heard me talk about declaring it was rock bottom for us. And, that's all fine and good. You can say, yeah, we're at rock bottom. But you better have a scheme and a plan that makes sense to get out of it. And, I think our staff and our players did a great job of figuring it all out. And my goal is to see a sunset, but I'm going to run to the east to watch it. Well, that's not a very good plan. So you'll never accomplish it. So we're going to, that's the thing I think we did a good job of is the plan of how we did it and what our guys did. And I'm talking to a man. I'm not just saying me or one assistant or my staff. I'm talking about my guys. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. And a lot changed. A lot of the way we played together, the chemistry of the team completely changed. And again, I'm not making one guy the victim or the villain. I'm saying we have a shared responsibility in what we did and how we flipped it. And it was shared to a man, to everybody in this program. And, because like I said, it's one thing to declare we are at rock bottom, but if we don't have a way to get out of it, then it's a big deal. Well, what does the declaration matter? So I think the plan we had since then has been terrific, and the guys have been enjoying themselves. We've been playing really hard. We've been keeping our minds right and fresh in the right way, and managing a heavy workload, but still getting work done. That was, I think, one of the things that has been the key to this run.
When I think of a plan, I think of like an outline on paper, and this is what we're going to do, kind of a path to what we want to do. So did you sit these guys down and do something like that? Or
yeah, we had a lot of that. We had a ton of that. And, first it started with our staff, and then, we spent a lot of hours trying to figure our way through some stuff and talk our way through some stuff. And then we had a lot of hours with our team too. And there was a meeting that maybe I'll make public at the end of the year that really changed the direction of this team. And, it was just a super positive thing, and kind of just an eye opener of perspective of where we were and what we could and wanted to accomplish.
Bob?
All right, Coach, let's talk about the Cowboys and the task at hand. Maldonado is the player of the week. You've seen him many, many years now for them. What are his strengths, and what concerns you most about him?
Well, there's a lot of concerns. Number one, the ball's in his hands a ton, and he's been making people around him a lot better. And that's when they're really, really good. And, he just can control a game from, I've heard somebody announcers calling him point forward, point guard, whatever you call him. He's just a really, really good player, and he has a great way of controlling the game, and he has a great way of scoring and making others better, that's what great players can do. So he's a hard matchup and a hard guard.
What about EK?
That kid has been a force down low, and their system provides that opportunity for him, number one, but also provides the space that a guy like that requires. And because they shoot, they're doing such a good job of shooting the ball and moving the ball, that he makes it a tough, it gives him space to operate down low.
And what about just Wyoming as a whole? I mean, you look at like San Diego State, really, really good defensively, but now we're coming back to the other end of the pool where you got a team that's really, really good offensively. So just the challenge as a whole defending them.
Yeah, and that's, night to night in the Mountain West. That's always what it's like, just the different kinds of systems and unique. You play Air Force one night, and then New Mexico another night, and then, everywhere you look, there's good coaches. Everywhere you look, there's good systems that you have to try to prepare for and try to deal with. And like you said, and these systems can swing, where it's like, whoa, we played those guys, and these guys are completely different in a lot of ways, and their strengths are different. And so it takes big adjustments, and most of them are done in a short period of time.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Johnny?
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Leon. Marcus Shaver, big shot Shaver. What has he done in the last year that's impressed you the most? It seems like, he wants to take that shot. He's been making that shot, and seems like he's having a hell of a year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I still feel like he's scratching the surface. He's got a lot of room to keep growing and getting better. And that's the mindset we have to have. That's the attitude we have to have as individuals and as a group. And otherwise success is short-lived. And, that's what makes these guys good to coach, is because there's a lot of guys that have been through a lot of grind. I mean, when guys have to redshirt in the middle of their career, it creates a new appreciation and a new level of commitment and a new level of grindability, I'd say. And that's what Marcus has done. And it also, part of us getting our chemistry right was understanding our roles. And Marcus is a scorer, and our guys understand that. And now we're doing a better job as a group being able to put the ball in his hands at the right times. And that's, takes the group to understand that.
I've never seen, Leon, a team, San Diego State, you guys held them to 28% from the field, 21% from downtown, and 20% from the free throw line. Like, even in your time in Spokane, when you guys were really putting it on some teams, have you ever done that to an opponent?
No, those numbers are preposterous. I mean, that's what I mean, it's crazy. And the crazy thing is how quickly you change your perspective and get comfortable. I've talked about that a long time. I had to change. I've always talked about my buddy Tad Boyle won the Pac-12 championship one year, beat Arizona in the championship game, and his team did what we did. They went like 8.5 minutes, almost 9 minutes in the championship game without scoring and won the game. And I'm like, man, that takes a mindset and a different kind of team to be able to do that. And you look up, we've become that team. So it's, it is an interesting, but it's what we do well. And, that's what's winning us games.
And finally, you guys don't allow a lot of 3-point attempts. Jeff Linder has been great at finding ways to shoot the three. They're at like over 25 attempts per game. You guys are at 15 attempts. How do you think the rubber is going to meet the road on that tomorrow night, Leon? I'm really interested to see what's going to happen there, because he wants to take them, but you're doing a really good job at not letting people take them.
Yeah, that will be that's going to be the interesting thing to watch, John. And I mean, that's what makes basketball so interesting, is the styles, and that, when you watch NBA games, everybody kind of plays the same now and same systems, it seems like. But in college, there's just so many wide ranging styles that it's interesting to see those different matchups. And I think you hit the nail on the head right there. That'll be a real interesting thing to watch in this game that we're playing tomorrow.
Thanks, Leon.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
hey, Leon, what do you like most about the way Abu's playing right now?
Just, like he had a job and guarding Bradley, and just how much pride he's taken in the jobs that he's doing. And, I think that that goes to our team chemistry. Guys are, when we need something, we ask, okay, this is what's the most important thing. They're doing a great job of understanding what it is, how we're going to do it. And then they go out and do it, because there's a lot to that. And, when you can play the kind of defense that he did last game, and not that he doesn't care about his offense, but he put that secondary because he knew that that job was going to take a lot, and it did, and he did a great job of it. And just to know, I mean, it came down to him versus Bradley on that last shot, and I thought he did as good a job as you can do contesting that.
How big would a big home crowd be for you guys tomorrow?
Oh, we forgot what it's like a little bit with 4 out of the last 5 on the road, and in the places that you play, Utah State, San Diego State, especially those last 2, those crowds were pretty crazy, pretty loud. When they made their comeback, San Diego State, boy, it energized them. You could just feel it and see it. And, so we need that to help us, because I know how much it helps us, but it's been a while since we've been playing here. I mean, we played 1 game in, the last 5, but we need one of those big crowds that gets things going for us.
Thanks, Leon.
Raider.
Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Let's go back to this winning streak. When you think about it and cherish it, what's the most important thing that you're seeing in this winning streak? What is the best part of this winning streak for you, from your perspective, other than the wins, obviously?
Yeah, and I think number one is, it's when you're in one of these, you kind of are oblivious to. I mean, it sounds crazy, but you're kind of oblivious to what happened. We're not, like, when people tell me the number, I'm kind of like, really? Is it that? I don't know. And so you kind of lose track of that, because that I think that is the key. And that is what I've been most impressed with is our ability to just, erase what's behind us, not look what's ahead of us. And because, it could have been overwhelming to look at all those games that we had in a row and on the road, blah, blah, blah. But we just haven't done that. And that takes the maturity of a group of guys that have been through stuff before. And so that's number one. That's impressed me, and how they've had just, we've come with a hunger to get better still. We've come with a passion to keep learning and keeping, understanding what we can do better and what we can, how we can keep growing even through this time when it's just game after game after game. And that's probably impressed me the most was how these guys stayed in the moment. And, we've enjoyed these moments together. We've battled together, and that ability to stay in the moment has been why we won those games. I mean, Marcus Shave with the 0 for 10, well, he didn't worry about the past, those 0 for 10. He had the proper response, and that gave him that ability to make that shot. And I think that's probably the thing that impressed me the most about not just Marcus, but our whole team's been doing a great job of that. They've figured out what we need, and they've been able to bring it. Like I challenged E-Man, like we're not gonna, this game is gonna be won on the glass. Well, it went into his mind and it came out in actions, and he went and got 8 rebounds. And to get 8 rebounds on our team is hard. You're going to have to fight not only the opponent, but you're going to fight your teammates to go get balls. And he went and got 8 of them. And so I think those kind of things are what's been impressing me, is that when we identify what needs to be done, that these guys can go out and do it. And they've done that over and over and over again. That's really, really hard.
You talked about hitting rock bottom in those 2 games before the streak. How is your team different mentally now than then? And how much do you believe in the power of confidence?
Oh, huge. But I think the biggest thing that changed was our chemistry and our roles. I think we were searching to, it was almost, I felt like I was putting square pegs in round holes. Not that just because of the way our rotations were, and they didn't have a clear understanding of their roles, and it was like a little bit all over the place and then all of a sudden, I think now it's become a strength of our team is that's everybody knows their roles. I mean, they know when they go in, they know when they come out a little bit, they know, foul trouble dictates some things and changes some things. But I think that's been the biggest thing that has changed, and is the roles and the chemistry of this team. And what was the other part of that question?
Just the power of confidence and how they feel mentally. And
yeah, absolutely. No doubt. Absolutely. That is, and I think that's the value of having veterans, because they've learned those lessons. They've learned the thing that we talk. I mean, from the day I get guys, I start talking about hey, Blake Stepp, I saw him miss 12 shots in a row, and then he hit the game winner for shot number 13. I tell those kind of stories over and over again, and sometimes it takes a while for them to sink in, and but the learning how to respond like I always tell these guys, hey, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, all these guys that you're watching, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all these guys, they weren't absent of mistakes. They just always had the perfect response. And to teach these guys that sometimes takes time. And that's value to when you want to really quantify it of like, well, what is the value of having older players and more veterans, is they've learned those lessons and they've had time to kind of understand how true they are. And, and they, sometimes you have to learn them by living them. And so these guys have lived some of that already.
Coach, as you approach the last month of the regular season, the depth, how do you juggle the depth moving forward? How big of a concern, and what can you do to make sure you stretch that depth as far as possible over this last month?
Yeah, that's the hard thing, is because, it's always delicate in basketball. Every time you go out there, you're one ankle away from your team being completely different, and that kind of thing. And so our main rotation is about 7 guys, but we've got number 8, 9, and 10 that that if they continue to improve, and you saw, Cason's moments have increased a little bit. I mean, think about it. I must have some trust in him. I mean, you could say that I threw him in the toughest environment in the toughest game of the year, and I threw him in. And so I think that's a good sign for him. And but the thing that I would tell him and these young guys is, I didn't make that decision. He made that decision by the way he's practiced, by the way he showed me, he's working on the things we want him to work on, and he was reliable. He had a problem with turnovers a little bit in practice in the preseason, and he comes to practice every day to work on it and get better. And so that is not lost on me. And that's why he gets that. That's why he earns that opportunity. It's not really me just making that decision. It's him earning it. And we got Pavle coming off an ankle. He's somebody that can help us down the stretch of the season. I want him to kind of get back into his flow, and Lucas, he can help this team too. So we got guys that we're going to need, and we're going to need them big at some point to step up.
Coach, appreciate your time.
BJ, you got to follow up? Yeah, I just want to follow up about the defense, Leon. I mean, the numbers keep going up. Number 8 now in adjusted defensive efficiency. I mean, that's crazy. Number 8 in the country. I mean, just all the other numbers are top 25 too. What, aside from just having the length you do on the perimeter and some of the other things, where has this team made the biggest jump defensively this season, and just why, and what's it like, I guess, to have a legitimate top 25 defensive team?
It's a good feeling, because I when you go in that last possession, need to stop. That's how you have to win on the road. And not on the road. That's a stupid thing to say. It's just, that's how you have to win. Excuse me. Close conference games, and is being able to get stops. And I don't know. I felt pretty confident in those last 24 seconds that we'd be able to find a way to make it tough on them. You never know. I think crazy stuff can happen, but when you're hanging your hat on that defense, you felt pretty good about it. And sure enough, they made it a tough possession, and we ended up getting the ball. So it's a really great weapon to have, and it starts with these guys' mindset, the mindset to multiple efforts, and they care, man. They care when somebody scores on us, and they hold each other accountable that way, and they take a lot of pride in it. And that's where it all starts, because you can have the best schemes in the world, but if you can't fly around to make those plays, it doesn't matter. And that's what these guys are doing. They're flying around making plays out of it. Because even like I look, even on some of the the somewhat open shot, they got it that 1-3 when I think they were up 3, and they got that open 3. Well, we had effort to close it out and make it a little tougher, and make it maybe a little enough hurried that it missed. I mean, those things matter. That it's a game of inches, and we're doing those little extra things that help us get to that.
I don't know if rebounding technically counts as defense, but I mean, you look at what your numbers are, and it was in that game was obvious, 9 offensive rebounds first half, you give up none, I think, in the second half. I mean, how important to your defense is controlling the glass?
Oh, it's huge, because yeah. And that goes back to what I said about being impressed with these guys, about how, you can go in and rant and rave and hit the whiteboard as much as you want and kick garbage cans and talk about rebounding or whatever you want to do, however you want to deliver the message. But if they don't go out and do it, the message doesn't matter. Well, we went in and talked about the 9 offensive rebounds, and I don't have to rant and rave, that's for sure. But what a great quality for a team and for players to have is that I can go in and we can address it, we can talk about it, and they're like, yep, that's right, let's go fix it, and go fix it. And to go from 9 to 0, I mean, you don't win the game if you're giving up. I mean, if you give up 1 or 2 offensive rebounds, you might not win that game. So what a credit to these guys to be able to do that. And I told them, I've always said that too, is that's really what every great team I've been associated with, you could do that. You could say, guys, here's what we have to get good at, or here's what we have to improve on, or here's what we have to go do tonight. And they could go figure it out and make it happen. And so that's been the most impressive thing with me, with this team, is that, okay, we told them, hey, here's what we have to get good at, here's what we have to go do, and they've been able to go do it.
Hey, Leon, quick question here. Did Shaver play for Mike Bibby in high school?
Yes,
Thank you. That's all I needed.
he did.
All right, y'all. Appreciate it. Thanks, coach.
You got it.
Joe, we just had Jordan jump on here in the last 30 seconds or so. So I don't know if Jordan has anything for coach, but I'll leave it up to you guys.
Jordan, we'll send you the files from this. All right, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.